After my sunset shoot in the sand dunes, I found this quiet little camp spot close by. This made it really easy to get back out into the sand dunes as the sun rose the next morning. As I headed in, I was trying to work out what sort of interest and mood I was going to find in the sky. Would there be any photogenic scenes with this flatter light? And were the flies going to be just as bad as they were last night? This video is sponsored by Squarespace. More about them later. Good morning there. It is a beautiful, beautiful morning. I'm back out at the sand dunes, as you might be able to see behind me here. I've been walking around for a while trying to find a composition, or just exploring for different compositions. The sun has risen. There was a hint of colour as I was walking into the sand dunes this morning. By the way, these are the Cervantes sand dunes in Nambung National Park, around about 200k north of Perth. Yeah, there was a hint of colour that I saw as I was walking in, but the sun has risen, and I've got a feeling it's pretty much risen behind these quite dark clouds over here to my left. So there's not going to be a lot of colour by the looks of it. There's already tips of clouds that are looking quite white, so I dare say that is it for as far as the colour is concerned, but not it as far as composition opportunities, because I've got this really cloudy, moody sky, and that's going to sit, I think, quite well with clean lines and clean sand and an interesting foreground. Having said all that, I have found this little scene in front of me as I've just made my way around the north end of the sand dunes, and it's quite a cool looking scene. I've pretty much got these sand dunes around in an arc, and then it's got the sand in the foreground has been blown away pretty much bare, and there's the remnants of a few what used to be plants, but now they're just kind of sticks sticking out of the ground. But I've got one that is a little bit more prominent than the rest, and I've got that on the third coming in from the right hand side. I could have stuck it in the middle, but it sits quite nicely on the right hand side, given that the rest of the sand dunes are quite balanced behind it if I've got it on the right hand side. So that's where I'm putting it at the moment. So that's the composition. As far as settings are concerned, the only challenge that I had was the sky, parts of the sky, because a lot of the sky is in cloud, but parts of the sky are quite bright. So those brighter parts of the sky were blowing out if I had the rest of the scene in kind of like a normal exposure. So I've actually bracketed the shot. I could have put a filter on there, but I didn't want to put a graduated filter on there because parts of the sky are actually quite dark and other parts are quite light, and I don't have a filter that kind of can mask out or filter out the light just from the brighter parts of the sky. So I've gone with a bracketing approach. So the shutter speed has been somewhere around half a second, a little bit longer and a little bit shorter than that as well, just as I'm bracketing those shots. My aperture is f/18 and of course ISO 100. But it's a lovely scene. It's beautiful and peaceful here. I'm going to take the rest of these shots, and then I'm just going to enjoy the morning and move on and see whether I can find another composition. As you can tell, the flies are back again. They're all over me. I didn't have a shower last night, so that's probably the reason. Although I could use the excuse that they're attracted to my bag and also the camera, so it could be the black t-shirt that they're attracted to. That's what I'm going to go with. What really works with this composition is I've got the sand dunes, which are the main subject in the image. I've got that pretty much in the middle in terms of the height of the image. But the clouds really bring some good interest in the sky, but they're kind of flowing a little bit, and it's a little bit like the flow of the tops of the sand dunes. But in the foreground, the way that the sand has been blown away here, there's also waves here as well, and there's little ripples in the waves, and the ripples in the sand, sorry, and the tops of those ripples have got dark orangey red sand on them. I'm not entirely sure why. It might be heavier grains of sand, so therefore it's a little bit harder to blow them away, but they really highlight these patterns and waves in the sand. And so those patterns in the sand in the foreground contrast quite nicely with the movement and the interest and the patterns, that wavy pattern in the clouds in the sky as well. So I'm really happy with this image. Before I share another image, I'd like to quickly thank Squarespace for sponsoring the video. Before I had a YouTube channel, I built a website to share my photography using Squarespace. 8 years later, and I'm still using Squarespace because the clean and simple look of their templates help make my images look great. And it's so quick to make updates to the site using desktop or mobile. When you want to add a page, Squarespace makes the process very easy by providing layouts that you can choose from to get you started, and lets you drag and drop content around the page wherever you want it. There's no need for any coding. They take care of everything else like platform updates, security, and hosting. If you ever do need some help, you can use their 24/7 award-winning customer service. So head on over to squarespace.com for a free trial. That'll give you heaps of time to get your website set up. And then when you're ready to launch, make sure you go to squarespace.com/Andrew Marr to get 10% off your first purchase. So the trick is to get this guy up without too much sand on him. Takes ages to get satellite signals. Here we go, 9, 11, 12.
The home point has been updated. Please check it on the map.
She's happy. This content is made possible by supporters over at Patreon. Check it out if you're interested, or just hit subscribe below so you don't miss out on my next trip. I'm continuing to explore the sand dunes, and this place is blowing my mind. It's just an amazing place for landscapes. There's so many interesting little scenes. I'm struggling a little bit with finding clean compositions, but just from a nature perspective, this place is just amazing. How some of these plants, these ones just behind me here, are surviving. I have no idea. They're just basically they're living in either rock or sand. One of the things that is impacting the landscape and the story is the light. Yesterday when I was shooting here, the sun was lower in the sky and I had some more direct light from the sun. So I had a little bit of harsher lines, not too harsh, that was really, really nice. And some of the detail and textures came out a little bit more prominently. I've now got complete cloud cover. The sun is quite high and the clouds are just dispersing the light. So I've got very, very soft and even light. And as a result, the lines are not as distinct in the image that I'm finding. So yeah, it's just a different type of image. I find that in these cases, even though I might have come here looking for those beautiful, distinct ridges, that's not what I'm going to get at the moment, and so I'm looking for compositions that suit the light that I'm getting. Anyway, needless to say, I'm having lots of fun.